Hello, everybody. Welcome and hello from my home city of Portland, Oregon. We just wrapped up the 2023 ITE International Annual Meeting and Exhibit. It was one of the largest, if not the largest, that we've had, I believe, with over 1,600 attendees and a lot of activity going on. So we wanted to just wrap up and share some of our thoughts with some of my team members before the rest of us head out of town, except for myself, and head back to their respective homes. So my name is Karen Giese. I'm the Vice President for U.S. Business Development and the head of the Traffic Safety Business Unit at Transoft Solutions. And I have with me three of my colleagues, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Hofbauer-Spitzer. I'm the Senior Manager of Engineering with Transoft Solutions.
Hi, I'm Saromi Kim. I'm engineer in training in the CNT business unit.
Hello, I'm Bismarck Navarro. I'm the project manager on the safety division.
Thank you. So we're just going to jump right in, and I just want to get some idea and some of your thoughts. So I appreciate you being here and sharing with me. Just out of curiosity, just generally, what were some of your impressions or maybe the most impactful idea or topic that you saw or heard or participated in this week? Liz, do you want to start?
Yeah, so what I really liked actually that people are really trying, to incorporate everything together. So this comes, from the safety to the design, but also the analysis. Today I was actually at the traffic impact assessment session, and they really talked actually that we never put the safety in the analysis, and how we can, further actually improve everything together, because it's mostly, unfortunately, safety. Something has to happen before people are getting to recognize that they have to change something. So again, how we can really, emphasize it more. And I think this comes again also, to Bismarck with the safety analysis actually.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's really good to hear, just that integration and trying to incorporate these things in earlier in the decision-making process as well. Bismarck.
Okay, no, following a bit what Liz said, is like the part I really like is to see how practitioners are thinking about it, are really thinking now about using safety on their, say, on the roadmap, something that I was not seeing before in conferences. Like practitioners, when they were doing something engineers, like safety was not something they were thinking about. They were only thinking about moving people, moving the volumes, and make it as quick as possible, but not that part. Something additional that I noticed here in Portland, or at least in this IT conference, is that first of all, like me, I've always wanted to visit Portland because I know that is like kind of city example of cycling, pedestrians, and basically transit mobility. And a lot of the presentations that I saw, especially on rail and cycling, is that they are using Portland as an example. They use that one as a threshold, at least here in North America, what can we do to get there? So that's something that it was nice to see here in the city, and also me walking around the city was nice. So that's, I think, something that I just get it here from the conference. But additionally to that, on the part of rail crossing, for example, because you have all the users mixed together here. It's not in other intersections, it's only pedestrians, cyclists, and cars. But here with the rail crossings, it's very interesting to see, for example, the work that engineers in the city of Portland, like Adam Moore and his team, they are doing to solve some of the problems. There's a few complex intersections and how they try to tackle those works. They present them, and it's just very interesting to see that part.
Great, thank you. Saromi.
For me, the most impactful session I was in was actually a tour that I never signed up for, but I went in place of a colleague, and it was great because I didn't realize that they would bring in actually the vulnerable road users. So we were going to have a tour to look at the curb ramps designed for ADA compliance, and they actually brought in people who needs like guide dogs, who are on wheelchairs and who, has vision disability. And it was really powerful to have that discussion with them because as engineers, you need to understand the importance of the designs and how that impacts the people. But then if you don't experience it yourself, it's very hard to be in that shoes and think from that perspective. But so having those like real life conversation and looking at the examples together was really helpful.
That's great. So it sounds like you both got out and saw a little bit of Portland and just some of the impacts that the work that you do is having on the communities. Fantastic. Thank you. I know we've mentioned that you each work in different areas. Bismarck, you focus more on the safety side of things. in terms of safety, what do you see? Where do you see that area evolving?
At least here in this conference, the part that I see that is evolving is that safety is not in theory anymore. It's like, because before, I remember a few years ago, it was something that like, oh yeah, just the theory is not easy to apply. And now they're applying that. And is one of the important things to see, at least that I saw on my site, is like video analysis is an important tool for that. I saw like different studies, not only to, let's say, evaluate near misses, the part that we do, is also to evaluate only just to detect the users, even just for crosswalks, and just to even to light the stop signs or try to bring the pedestrian lights, just using video analysis or LiDAR or the other type of technology. Like now they're implementing that to detect the vulnerable road users, not us only going to push the button all the time. That's a interesting part I see that is being implemented now, not just in the theory room from the academics or the PhDs, like in that part. Now it's being, engineers are taking that part. I think that's a good shift that is happening.
Nice. And Elizabeth, I know, you and Sairome both work in the civil and transportation, more on the design side as well. I know there was a lot of discussion around roundabouts and the new design guide, some new design methodologies, and even some unique intersections. Where do you see kind of, I guess, maybe a niche area, but also maybe the broader design area? How do you see that evolving?
Interesting thing is actually also, again, back a little bit to the analysis, because previously we always had the level of service of an intersection. The level of service of intersection affects what intersection type you have to do actually. So people are going actually now more to vehicles miles traveled. So even actually I think a lot of design decision what we are making in the future will be affected actually with the vehicles miles traveled and unique intersection types. How can you design not just roundabouts, but we have heard about diverging diamond or J-turn intersections. So there's a lot of room actually to grow and really to improve even design. And I always say, it's so many different intersections, and one size doesn't fit all, and it's so much in context, And especially again, with the safety aspect in mind, is this really, the best intersection type from a design perspective, from the safety perspective, from the analysis perspective, what can we improve, really to make an intersection livable and workable, for everyone, not just for cars, because everybody has to use it, and the more, we can provide, better accessibility, especially again for our vulnerable road users with the ADA compliant curb ramps. It's really important, really to get further into this.
Great, thank you. So Romeo, how about you?
One of the things that were talked about in multiple sessions was adapting to the revolution in EVs. And so as more EVs are being adapted and people are using more EVs, we need to think about how we should change infrastructure to accommodate those EVs. So EVs, EV trucks that will be coming, EV with trailers, like how do we design parking for EV charging stations to accommodate those vehicles, was one of the things that they are starting to think about. And I think that's part of the evolution that will be happening.
That's really also a good point, because in one of the sessions also they talked about, again, not a lot of cities have actually requirements for EV stores, you know what I mean? So again, we have so much data, and we really should actually, the data we collect really use for, to make our city better, with EV stores, also again, with parking stores, we don't really count really how many parking stores for bikes we actually have and we need. So again, incorporate everything into one holistic concept.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, and talking about some of the electric vehicles and some of the other technologies, we're kind of in this technology revolution in a way, right? Technology is advancing so quickly. We see other technologies emerging very rapidly. We talk a lot about data analytics and connected vehicles and electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles and new ways to design and new ways to promote safety and be proactive. From the technology perspective, obviously we all work in technology, but are there any new thoughts or ideas that have come out of this in terms of how we can leverage technology in what we're doing, and like you said, the more holistic approach to things? So maybe Liz, we'll start with you.
Yeah, no, again, also, the last session, the analysis one was actually, one was, for example, Best Buy trips. And we're still using actually data that's 40 years old, you know what I mean? So we really have to get on that when we are collecting data that we are using it also, Also, with our trip generation rates, what we are using, again, with for the designing the intersections, a lot of data is old, So again, when we are collecting data, please use them, and it has, everything has to work together. And especially, the last 3 years really showed us, that it's an ever-changing, industry. And just because we did something 10 years ago, it doesn't mean that we have to do it for the next 10 years. So again, we cannot just look at something alone, and especially with the safety, with multimodal design and all the analysis. So everything together, it's makes the most sense.
Great. Sairumi.
For me, I thought a lot about how we can strategize and bring our products together to make more designs that have safety incorporated. So how can we make more safe-proof design, something that's more guaranteed to be safe? How do we know? How do we quantify? How do we sort of analyze that? So I think my focus would be to understand how we can achieve these, bringing technologies together to make a more comprehensive tool for the engineers to use to make a safe-proof design.
Great. Thank you. Bismarck, from your perspective, how can we leverage this technology? Where do you see this? Did you get ideas from this week on that?
Yeah, I got a few good ideas, especially I was like even for the part of the or safety analysis that we do, but like on normal intersections for vehicles, but especially for the train. There were a few point of views that I think probably we were not considering, and just seeing the experts how they are trying to solve some of the problems and see how we can help them on that part. I think some of those inputs that I got from there, I think, are going to be really important for us, but also additional. Something very interesting that I noticed, or they're trying to solve, is and that also I was thinking like why they're trying to do this is to solve the two trains problem. When they're coming and they're just trying to let the pedestrian knows where the train is coming from, and really ask them, but I told them, but it's probably a very basic question, but why are doing that? It's like because we're assuming the pedestrian is going to do violation, and we want to protect them from themselves. So and try to see, even I think with video data we can help them on that part. That's one that I'm trying to implement that, and they're bringing some ideas from Japan. I think they are taking their knowledge to try to implement them here. But another one that I saw very interesting is how to provide the input or how long a train can take to cross an intersection. So when you're planning your route, to consider train crossing now, because I think so far nowadays we only consider in the mapping routes just the vehicles traffic, but we don't consider the crossings. And there's a couple of ideas there to bring that to the maps as well, because they say like you might take a route, but that one might cross. The train might be on your way, and that just push that longer. So those are a few ideas that I thought very, very interesting, and I think we can help them also on that part.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it sounds like you all have learned a lot, have been able to absorb a lot of information in a really short period of time. I mean, there was so much activity this year, and it was great to see. I have one final question. So this is my home city. I love it. I've been here for many years, and I've really enjoyed living here, but I know that all three of you, this is your first visit to Portland. So I'll just ask each of you to kind of close out with what's your favorite thing about Portland that you saw this week or experienced?
Okay.
Just one, Bismarck.
The bike infrastructure.
Yeah.
And my perspective also being a cyclist advocate, I really love the bike infrastructure, how just is there in the city, not only few corridors, how integrated it is in the mobility of the people. That's the part that I loved. I already knew it in advance, so honestly, I just came to corroborate it.
We do love cycling here. Yeah.
I haven't actually been out much, so not really sure what to say, but I do love how they emphasize on the transit system that they've designed here. I love that there's like different options to get around. I want to take the tram down to the other part of the city today to explore what kind of designs that they've implemented here to really help people get around easier.
One thing actually what I have seen, and this actually combines both of them, was actually on the tram, people took their bike actually on the tram, and just, had everything there, bike hanging there. So I really, was happy with this, that people embraced, bicycle with the tram. So I really enjoyed that,
Yeah.
actually, the
Good.
combination of everything.
I'm actually surprised you didn't say Powell's books.
No, but I thought, I have to say something about transportation.
No, it's all fun too, right? No, there's so much here, but well, thank you. I appreciate all of the insights and the information. It sounds like we've all learned a lot this week. I hope that all of you who were here this week learned as much as we did. I'm sure you did. And if you couldn't be with us, we hope to see you at a future conference. So thank you for joining. Thank you for watching, and look forward to seeing you at a future ITE.